Welcome back, War Room fans. Game 7. Wow. Once again, I find myself at the end of turn 3, taking over for Coach. He's the Axis and Bryce is the Allies. They got together because they're kind of not working right now. Whereas I'm an essential worker. Essential workers unite. So here I am after work and I'm going to take over. So let's just see what's going on. I was talking to Coach driving over. And this is an unusual game for us, guys. Everybody is basically just loading to the rafters on units. We can see here on the Russian front, I mean, it's double 8 stack, a 6 stack in Bryansk, Belarus, an 8 and a 2, air units everywhere, Ukraine. Italy did take the Caucasus. Notice Japan over here has taken India. So they're cruising over here. Notice Japan does have some nice juicy stacks. P-13's basically loaded up. The Americans have brought down their initial build. Now this is, remember, this is the end of turn 3. So this is what it looks like over here. Notice up here, though, the Americans brought over all their guys. They all landed up there in Karelia with the British. This is what we're looking like over here. Now, as Coach was lamenting, they got smacked down hard in Egypt. The second is still intact. So that's a little troubling. Because everybody's doing crazy things like let's not attack each other. One of the things they came up with was, like, notice we have upside down subs over there. Those are actually infantry. Same thing over there. So they started using all the extra naval pieces to kind of supplement the land pieces until we have a throwdown somewhere and start freeing up a bunch of guys. It's like over here in America, you know, they're building 3 artillery and 5 infantry. So notice they're trying to come down here, do the North Africa thing. So this is where we stand at the end of turn 3. Everybody else is normal. UK is up into labor and civil unrest due to the dramatic fall of India. So here's where we pick up the game. I will be back after orders in turn 4. Okay, guys, we're back after turn order. We're in the middle of turn 4. United States bid 4, Germany bid 2, Japan bid 1, and that's how the rest came out. So the United States immediately jumped into Leningrad. Got a huge smackdown there, a lot of air power. See, the Russians are coming into Belarus. Got a lone Russian Strat bomber trying to punch through into Ukraine because the Axis came up here and are sending in a lot of power into Moscow to blow up those reserves and maybe get some factories. See down here, Japan slowly creeping over, going in the Middle East. We're finishing off the Egyptian campaign. Italy jumped out with a lot of land units. They got a battleship out there with some planes, but the British have shown up. Notice the 45th is coming in. Germany, well, Italy and Germany brought back a bunch of planes to Germany thinking they're going to strap bomb us, but no, they're going to go out and interdict the iron out there in the middle of the Baltic Sea. So the 95th came over. Russia's reinforcing Volga. In that big battle in the middle there, it's an even stack plus 3 units for Germany, but they got a lot of air power. Notice over here, Japan's coming into Manchuria.
No, Russia's going into
Or
Manchuria.
Russia's coming into Manchuria. Japan's coming up here to try to knock out the Chinese. Panning on over. America brought it all up into P-13. So we're going to have our big opening just naval showdown. Okay, America's bringing in a lot of air power. Japan sent its air power into Eastern Australia on a huge strat bombing mission. So we'll see what happens down there. America came over on P3 with the 4th to reinforce. So we will see how this all breaks down at the end of turn 4. Okay, guys, we're here at the end of turn 4. Oh, you missed it. Bryce is heated again. Seems to be a recurring theme around this joint. Bryce called it. At least he didn't like upturn the board and just flip it. So over here, notice up here in Belarus, 8 stack evened up. Up here, they took back Leningrad, 8 stack with 3 extra guys. Germany blew up Moscow for 3 bomb tokens. But as Bryce has been pointing out, we consistently always got the higher end odds on the dice. We always were, like, notice the 59th is still a combined, force, whereas the 21st is just totally limited down to just infantry and an artillery. Down here in M2, that Italian battleship survived, and then they got 2 subs and reinforcements. So the reinforcements are going to get off into T5 next turn. But once again, we got the edge on him. He could not roll a red, black, nothing for the life of him. Over here, we start scanning. Middle East fell. Even down in the Egyptian battle, we took our pound of flesh down there. They still got 2 artillery and an armor. Over here, Japan basically vanquished the Chinese, although the 105th did contest the territory. Down here, once again, the Japanese are reduced to 2 battleships against, what is this, a cruiser, 2 cruisers, and 2 carriers, or 1 carrier. That's all that's left after that big battle. The Japanese strat bombed that battleship, blew it up in port while it was under construction. But they did lose 2 strat bombers in the endeavor. Up here in Manchuria, the Russians came in. They took it, but holy moly, they just got decimated. Only 2 guys left. So Bryce is looking at these stacks over here in Germany. Russians got, basically, the Russians are almost reduced to just an army of infantry at this point. So he can't take it no more. He called it. Yeah, notice in India, a bunch of infantry and 1 tank. So this is how it's going to end on turn 4 with an Axis victory. After all the casualties, that's where the stress ended up. So, okay, Bryce, let the fans hear it.
This is 2nd game in a row where I just can't get any luck on dice, but I still reiterate my claim that strat bombing is way overpowered. And
not a fan of the strat bombers.
And I also find it strange that the stuff that's destroyed in strat bombing that's under construction counts against your morale board. That seems odd to me, but
yes, Bryce does not like how strat bombing casualties actually cause you stress. Although I personally believe that the citizenry is even more stressed out when they see the factory blowing up. But that's just my opinion. So, but no, I do agree with Bryce that strat bombing, if you destroy units under production, they're just gone. They don't cause stress to a nation.
Certainly not 20 for losing that one battleship.
Well, that is true. I mean, losing 20 stress on a construction loss, which is the highest you can take for a single unit in the game, is very high. So we might, in the next couple games, we will probably institute that optional rule where it doesn't cause stress. And you know what? Maybe we do take it down to, strat bombers only get to attack twice. One of the things philosophically, though, like Bryce brought out the 11th out here into A5, right? With 3 bombers. And he only got to roll 3 dice against the convoys. Why don't bombers going against factories only get to roll 1 dice on strat? I don't know. Maybe by powering them down so much,
yeah, it just
then
seems,
strat bombing no longer is even viable.
It seems odd to me that if a strat bomber attacks the convoys, they only get 3 dice. But if they attack a land area,
they get
12.
That does seem
a lot of extra dice.
Yes, that does seem a little odd. Now, my counter argument when Bryce and I were discussing is that if you're playing against an opponent who's always sending in the strat bombers against the factories, and remember, guys, harken back all those months ago when I did the air power thing, my first part was the strat bombers go after the factories, because it makes the opponent have to keep his fighters in his factories. So it reduces the air power dramatically on the actual combats. Because if you're always defending factories with your fighters, then your fighters aren't actually like doing offensive attacks against the other guy. I don't know. That's just a philosophical discussion. And
well, I certainly agree that if you're going to play with the out-of-the-box rules, the one thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start training yourself to leaving certain amount of fighters behind to defend against strat bombing. However, my counter to that counter is, you got to have some fighters on the front line. So let's say Russia would have kept 2 fighters back for air defense. Well, that's 6 dice against 3 bombers. Reds and blacks are the only thing hitting. That's true.
And in this very specific game, we did bring up, because Japan had made such gains in India that we brought in, 2 Japanese strats and 5 Japanese fighters up here. So, there's that element we also have to take into account in this very specific game, that Japan had a lot of air power all of a sudden over on the Russian front. So that's just one, thing. And then over here, the Americans are all, basically America's defending and Britain's defending the North. But the Russians are just getting smacked big time. So this is where we're going to call it after game turn 4. Axis victory. So after 7 games, 4 Allied victories, 3 Axis victories. So we'll just kind of scan back over here and see the final lay of the land, so to speak. So that's where we're going to end it, guys. And then I'm sure in the next couple days I will continue my UK series. And we'll do part 2, which is actually down here. Bryce did an admirable job. He held Egypt and just laid waste to the Axis. So we might have to get some pro tips from him on how to do that, since the consensus is that Egypt always falls. But not in this game. So I will be talking to you guys later.